guys, so Austin here coming at you live and pre-recorded as well, for another episode, weekly episode of Fitt TV on the Facebook page, and also going to be posted on different platforms, so you may be watching this on YouTube now as well. But this is our weekly show we have 12 p.m. EST, and this is going to be based around this week's topic is going to be based around discover your body type and what you should particularly eat in order to maximize your results. So I want to welcome you guys on today. Thank you for coming on. If you're watching this now, thank you for watching. So we're going to dive really quick into it. I want to make this pretty concise today and pretty short, to the point. But this is the thing, guys, is there's only 3 types of body fats, and you can also be a hybrid of 2 different types. But what there are there's 3 different types of body fats. So there's what's called, what I am an ectomorph. So I am what's known as a hard gainer. Naturally, I'm known as an ectomorph. So I'm a hard gainer, and I also, I can lose body fat really easily, but I also struggle to essentially put on muscle mass or put on weight. There's what's called a mesomorph, and that is someone who's naturally muscular, naturally fit. They naturally have that athletic physique. There's also someone who's called an endomorph. And an endomorph is someone who's naturally overweight, they're naturally heavier, that's how their genetic structure is. So there's 3 different types of body types I just went into right there. And like I said, you can also be a hybrid of 2. So for an example, if you've heard the term skinny fat before, that is someone who's between somewhat of an ectomorph and also an endomorph. So more so on the ectomorph side, so they're naturally skinny, but they have that, stubborn fat around the midsection. They have fat around the midsection, they have love handles, they have fat on the back. In the midsection, they don't have like the lower abs. It's really a lot of fat in the lower section of the body, the midsection. So this is actually where I naturally stood before I started working out. I was a mix between those 2. And I wasn't muscular at all. So you can also be, a hybrid of, a mesomorph as well. So you could be a hybrid of a mesomorph, endomorph as well. So you could be naturally overweight, but also have a little bit of muscle tone as well. So there's, you can be a hybrid across between the 2. But more so, you particularly fall in one category. So either skinny, hard gainer, naturally muscular, or heavier and overweight. So those are the particular categories. So now kind of looking at it from a different perspective, now you know what your body fat is, or know what your body type is. What you can do now is particularly target a certain style of eating for that body type. So you probably heard me say before that in order to lose fat, you must be in a caloric deficit. In order to build muscle, you must be in a caloric surplus. So you need to be one or the other. And yes, that's very true, but there comes a little bit more that goes into the equation. So obviously macros play a large role. And that's what I'm going to get into today, guys, is the macronutrients. And I want to make it as simplistic and easy to understand. So of those 3 body types, they are going to respond best to a particular macronutrient split. And if you don't know what macros are your proteins, your fats, your carbs. They're units of energy. So those are macros. They're obviously important for losing body fat and building muscle and overall just living. You need these to survive. They're for survival, most importantly. You need energy to survive and fuel your body. So let's start off with an endomorph first. So someone who's naturally heavier. What type of diet should they do? So an endomorph, what they would need in order to, let's say, obviously their goals are to burn body fat because they're naturally heavier. What they want to do is be in a caloric surplus first, okay? A caloric deficit first, not to confuse you guys. So they want to be in a caloric deficit. They want to be losing about 1 pound of fat per week, if not more. So what they need to do is they need to eat less calories than they're burning. So they need to eat less than they're burning. So let's say we have a man that's 200 pounds and he wants to lose weight So I would take his weight and multiply it by 12. 12 is a constant like we talked about before. And this man would eat about 2,400 calories a day in order to lose about a pound of fat per week, we'll say roughly. But this is where the macros come in right here, guys. This is where the macronutrient part plays. So because this man is an endomorph versus the other two body types I talked about, this man would have to do something a little bit different. He would have to eat a relatively larger protein intake. So this is what's going to work best for him. Now take note, guys, this may vary for different people, but this is what's going to work best for this individual. So this man's naturally an endomorph. He's a little bit heavier. He wants to lose weight, so he would take 2,400 calories a day. That's what we came up with. Okay, about 40% of those calories should be coming from protein. So it's pretty high, About 40% from protein. And then what we're going to say is the other 50%, we'll say actually the other 40%, should be coming from fat. So 40% from protein, 40% from fat, and the 20% of his calories should be coming from carbs. So now this is a lower carb diet. I'm not a proponent to low carb diets. This is more of a ketogenic diet, but this person, in this person's case, in this person's situation, it's going to be more effective if they eat more of a ketogenic diet, more of a high-fat diet, just because they already have a lot of body weight, a lot of fat, so they want to lose that fat, and they want to lose as much water weight as possible as well. So by putting them in a high, carbohydrate-style diet, it's not going to be the most effective for them. So that's why for an endomorph, I would do a 40-40-20 split. 40% coming from protein, 40% coming from fat, and 20% of their calories coming from carbs. So that's the first individual. Now we're going to go into number two. And this one's very similar, except we're going to flop a few things. So the second person is the mesomorph, the person who's naturally jacked, naturally fit, naturally athletic, that athletic look that everyone desires to be, but they're naturally there. They were born this way. So this person would work best with a 40-40-20 split as well. So what would work best with them is 40% of their overall calories coming from protein, another 40% of their calories this time coming from carbohydrates, and the other 20% coming from fats. Now, guys, remember I said this can vary. It doesn't have to be this exact, numbers. This doesn't have to be this exact proportions, but these numbers. But overall, this person's going to need more carbohydrates because they have more muscle mass. They have more muscle tissue, so they require more energy. And they require more, carbohydrates essentially because that's a unit of energy. That's what's going to provide them energy the quickest. So now this person too, typically a mesomorph is either looking to build muscle or burn fat. So not to confuse you guys, but what they would need to do in order to do so is determine what their goal is first. So if they want to burn fat, then they would have to be in a caloric deficit. If they want to build muscle, they would have to be in a caloric surplus. So just to go really quickly with that, let's say they're a mesomorph and they want to build muscle, they would take their body weight times by 17. If they want to lose body fat, they want to take their body weight times by 12. And then again, follow that 40-40-20 split like I just said. So last person we're going to talk about now is the skinny fat guy. So this is obviously the endomorph, or ectomorph, excuse me, not to confuse you guys, ectomorph. So the ectomorph now, that's me too. That's how I started off. I was naturally really skinny. I had a little bit of the fat around the midsection though, so I was a hybrid between that and the endo. So I had fat around the midsection, had the love handles, I had a little bit of the man boobs going on, but that's how I started off. And this particular person that's, let's say, an ectomorph, they have trouble gaining, they have trouble gaining muscle mass, they have trouble also maybe a little bit losing body fat, but more so they have a lot of trouble gaining muscle mass. What's going to be best for this person is, and this may sound contradictory to many, or contrary by belief, is that this person's going to need a ton of carbohydrates. I know it sounds crazy, but this person's going to need a lot of carbohydrates. And they're also going to need a decent amount of fat and protein. So now the good thing with this person is they can get away with like messing around with different types of protein and fat, ratios. But I would say more so, this person's carbohydrate intake should be at least 50% of their diet. So at least 50% of their diet should be coming from carbs. So let's say this person is, we'll say 160 pounds. Actually, let's say 150. That's where I've started about. So 150 pounds, and they want to get up to 180. So they would take 150 times, because they are a hard gainer, I would say 17, but maybe even 20. So let's say, hypothetically, 150 times 20, that's 3,000 calories this person should be eating on a daily basis in order to gain about a pound per week. So 3,000 calories on a daily basis. Now, 50% of those calories should be carbs. So this is going to sound crazy, but out of those 50% of those calories, that's 1,500. That's roughly, this person's going to be eating a couple hundred grams of carbohydrates a day. And that's normal. That's totally normal, because this person's a hard gainer. They need the carbohydrates. And also, carbohydrates at this person's level are muscle sparing, so it's going to allow them to retain a lot of muscle mass as well. So high carbohydrate diet for an ectomorph, 50% of their diet at least carbohydrates. The other, let's say 20% should be coming from either protein or fats. It doesn't, you can play around with it, but I would say 20% for protein, and then the other 30% can be from, obviously fat, the last one. Now, you could also split it up to a 50, 25, 25. It just comes down to this person's preference. But the biggest thing to remember with the ectomorph is that they must be in obviously eating a high amount of carbs. So that's the whole thing today, guys, is you want to match your macronutrient split with your specific body type. If you can do so, you're really going to accelerate your results. You're going to see awesome results in the gym as well. It's going to actually set you up for success, not just physically how you look, but also in the gym. You're going to have great strength gains. You're going to feel better. And it's going to put your mindset in the right track, and you're going to align yourself with your goals. So just to recap one more time, an endomorph is someone who's naturally heavy. A mesomorph is someone who's naturally muscular and athletic. And then we have our ectomorph, who's someone who's naturally slender and skinny. So pick your body type, find your body type, and then eat towards your particular macronutrients. So remember, an endomorph needs more fat. So they need a 40% fat, 40% protein, and then the 20% coming from carbs. We have our mesomorph. They need 40% coming from protein, 40% coming from carbs, and 20% coming from fat. And then we have our ectomorph, and this is the 50% coming from carbs, the 30% coming from fats, and then 20% coming from proteins. You can play around with that. So that's going to wrap it up for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, this broadcast. And then what we're going to do is, if you have any questions, always comment, let me know. But we're going to wrap it up here. This is going to be on different platforms. If you're watching already right now, you're seeing this is on a different platform. So it's going to wrap up today's episode number 9 of how to discover your body type and what to eat towards your particular body type in order to maximize your results. So this is at GravFit TV signing off. Austin here. Hope you guys have an amazing rest of the day. Take care.